The most dangerous prison ever built isn't made of concrete and steel. It's built of thoughts and beliefs. You're sitting in that prison right now, serving a life sentence for crimes you didn't commit. Locked behind bars you can't see, guarded by fears you didn't choose. The tragic part, you're both the prisoner and the warden. You hold the keys to your own freedom, but you've convinced yourself the locks are too strong, the walls too high, the guards too powerful. But what if everything you believe about your limitations is a lie? Have you ever noticed how a single thought can change the entire course of your day? That fleeting whisper in your mind that says, I can't or I'm not enough. It's like a pebble dropped in still water, creating ripples that spread far beyond that initial moment. These thoughts, these seemingly innocent internal conversations are shaping your destiny right now in ways more profound than you might realize. Let me tell you something powerful. Your mind is the most fertile ground on this planet. More valuable than the richest soil in the Amazon rainforest. More precious than any diamond mine in Africa. And what you plant in this fertile ground, your thoughts will determine the harvest of your life. Every single person in this room right now is carrying around a garden in their mind. Some of you are growing roses of possibility while others are nurturing weeds of doubt. And here's the truth that might shake you are growing exactly according to what you've been feeding them. You see, thoughts aren't just abstract concepts floating in your head. They're seeds. Living, growing, multiplying seeds. When you wake up in the morning and think today is going to be terrible, you've just planted a seed. When you look in the mirror and criticize yourself, you've just watered that seed. When you constantly replay your past failures, you're fertilizing a whole field of self-doubt. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you audited your thoughts? When did you last sit down and really examine what's growing in your mental garden? Most people spend more time choosing what clothes to wear than choosing what thoughts to think. They'll carefully select their lunch menu, but randomly accept any thought that pops into their head. That's why success seems to elude so many people. This is why dreams die in the hearts of millions. Not because they lack potential, not because they don't have opportunities, but because their thought patterns are sabotaging their every move. Let me break this down for you. Your thoughts create your beliefs. Your beliefs create your expectations. Your expectations create your attitudes. Your attitudes create your behaviors. And your habits create your destiny. Think of that chain reaction. It all starts with a thought. Just one thought. One tiny seed planted in the fertile soil of your mind. That's all it takes to set this whole process in motion. Now, some of you might be thinking, but I can't control my thoughts. They just happen. Really? Let me challenge that belief right now. If someone called your name, wouldn't you turn around? That's you controlling your attention. If you're driving and see a red light, don't you stop. That's you directing your focus. You have more control than you realize. Our problem isn't that we can't control our thoughts. The problem is that we've never been taught how to farm our minds properly. We've been given the most powerful tool in the universe, our consciousness, but no instruction manual on how to use it effectively. What body tells you about success? It's not about working harder. It's not even about having more opportunities. It's about mastering the art of thinking. The most successful people in history weren't necessarily the most talented or the hardest working. They were the ones who learned how to harness the power of their thoughts. Think about it. Everything you see around you, the chair you're sitting on, the building you're in, the clothes you're wearing, everything started as a thought in someone's mind. Your life works the same way. Whatever you're experiencing right now, this is why two people can face the exact same situation and get completely different results. One sees an obstacle and thinks this is impossible, while the other thinks this is interesting. Same situation, different thoughts, different outcomes. Let me share something that might revolutionize your understanding. Your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. When you think a thought, your brain releases the same chemicals, whether that thought is about something real or something you're just thinking about. This means that every negative thought you entertain is literally creating a negative chemical state in your body. Every worry about the future is being interpreted by your brain as if that terrible thing is happening right now. But here's the good news. This same principle works in your favor when you learn to control your thoughts. When you consciously choose thoughts of confidence, your brain releases chemicals that make you feel confident. When you deliberately focus on solutions instead of problems, your brain helps you become more creative and resourceful. The question isn't whether this process is happening. It's happening right now, whether you're aware of it or not. The real question is, are you going to take control of it? Or are you going to let random thoughts determine the direction of your life? I want you to understand, so not you. They're like television channels. You can change them. Just because you've been watching the I'm not good enough channel for years doesn't mean you have to keep watching it. You have the remote control. You can change the channel to I'm growing and improving every day. Change doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. And the first step in designing a better life is design better thoughts. This isn't about positive thinking. It's about intentional thinking. It's about becoming the active gardener of your mind instead of letting weeds grow wild. Right now, I want you to think about what you've been thinking about. Yes, you heard me right. What thoughts have been occupying most of your mental space? What seeds have you been planting in your mind's garden? Are they thoughts that will bear fruit you want to harvest? Those people never ask themselves these questions. They drift through life wondering why things never change, while feeding their minds a steady diet of toxic thoughts. They want different results, but keep planting the same seeds. Einstein called this insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, while expecting different results. Let me tell you something that might shock you. Your life right now is a printout of your thoughts from 5 years ago. Everything you're experiencing, your relationships, your bank account, your health, your career, it's all a manifestation of thought patterns you established years ago. And here's what's even more sobering. What you're thinking right now is creating your life 5 years from now. Some of you just got very uncomfortable with that thought. You're sitting there thinking about what's been occupying your mind lately, and you're not liking what that might mean for your future. But the discomfort is the beginning of change. That uneasiness is your soul telling you it's time for something different. You see, comfort is the enemy of growth. When you're comfortable with your thoughts, you're comfortable with your life. And when you're comfortable with your life, you stop growing. But growth is not optional. It's essential. Everything in nature is either growing or dying. There's no in-between state. Your mind works the same way. We tell you a truth that nobody wants to hear. Your thoughts will either make you or break you. There's no neutral ground. Every single thought you entertain is either moving you toward your destiny or away from it. Every mental conversation you have with yourself is either building your future or destroying it. Think about what you've been mentally rehearsing lately. What scenes do you play over and over in your mind? Are you rehearsing your victories or your failures? Are you practicing success or practicing defeat? Because whatever you rehearse most often is what you'll perform when the curtain goes up on your life stage. Some of you have been rehearsing poverty. You constantly think about not having enough, about bills you can't pay, about opportunities you can't afford. And then you wonder why your financial situation never improves. Others have been rehearsing loneliness. You keep telling yourself nobody understands you. Nobody appreciates you. Nobody wants to be with you. And then your surprise is when you find yourself isolated. Your mind is like a theater. and your thoughts are the play being performed. But here's the thing. You're not just the audience. You're the writer, the director, and the lead actor. You get to decide what plays on that stage. You get to write the script. You get to direct the action. But most people don't realize this power they have. They let their minds play whatever random show happens to come on. They let their past write their future script. They let their fears direct their actions. They let their doubts play the leading role. I want you to understand something fundamental. Your thoughts are not facts. They're interpretations. They're stories you tell yourself about facts. Someone doesn't return your call. They don't respect me. That's your interpretation. You didn't get the promotion. That's a fact. I'm not good enough. That's your interpretation. The problem is, most people don't distinguish between facts and interpretations. They treat their interpretations as if they were facts. And once you believe your interpretation is a fact, you stop challenging it. You accept it as truth. Let's go, what if you've been interpreting things wrong? What if the stories you've been telling yourself are just that? Stories. What if you could write different stories? What if you could interpret things in a way that empowers you instead of limits you? This is a powerful truth. The meaning you give to events determines how those events affect you. Two people can go through the exact same situation and come out with completely different results simply because they assign different meanings to what happened. Let me give you an example. A setback comes into your life. You can interpret it as evidence that you're a failure, that you're not good enough, that you should give up. Or you can interpret it as feedback, as a lesson, as an opportunity to grow stronger. Same event, different interpretation, different result. Your mind is constantly interpreting everything that happens to you. It's like a meaning-making machine. But here's the key. You can program this machine. You can train it to make empowering interpretations instead of disempowering ones. This is where the real work begins. This is where transformation happens. It's not enough to just think positive thoughts occasionally. You need to systematically reprogram your mental software. You need to deliberately select new meanings for current circumstances. Some of you are carrying around interpretations from childhood that no longer serve you. You're still running mental software that was programmed by other people's limitations, other people's fears, other people's doubts. It's time to write your own program. What do you want? This isn't easy. Changing your thought patterns is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Why? Because you're fighting against neural pathways that have been strengthened over years, sometimes decades. You're trying to create new trails in a forest where old paths are deeply worn. The good news is that your brain is plastic. It can change. It can form new pathways. But it requires consistent, conscious effort. You can't just change your thoughts once and expect your life to transform. You need to change them consistently, persistently, until the new patterns become automatic. This is why most people fail at creating lasting change in their lives. They try to change their circumstances without first changing their thoughts. They try to create new results while running the same mental programs. It's like trying to download a new app while running an old operating system. It just won't work. Your thoughts are the operating system of your life. And just like a computer, if you want to run new programs, you need to update your operating system first. You need to upgrade your thinking before you can upgrade your living. But here's something crucial you need to understand. This isn't about denying reality or pretending everything is perfect. This is about choosing how you interpret and respond to reality. It's about taking control of your mental narrative instead of letting circumstances write your story. Let me share something profound with you. Every thought you think is like a vote for the person you're becoming. When you think, I can't, you're voting for limitation. When you think it's too hard, you're voting for mediocrity. When you think that's just how I am, you're voting for stagnation. And just like in an election, the candidate with the most votes wins. The person you are right now won their election through thousands of thought votes cast over the years. But here's the exciting part. A new election is happening right now. With every thought you think, you're casting a vote for your future self. The question is, who are you voting for? Some of you have been voting against yourself for so long, you don't even realize you're doing it. Every time you doubt your abilities, you cast a vote. Every time you focus on what could go wrong instead of what could go right, you cast a vote. Every time you tell yourself that's not for people like me, you cast a vote. But what if you started casting different votes? What if you began voting for possibility instead of limitation? What if you started voting for growth instead of stagnation? What if you began voting for the person you could become instead of the person you've been told you are? Your mind is like a parliament in constant session. Thoughts are being proposed, debated, and voted on every single moment. But most people let their mental parliament run on autopilot. They let fear hold the majority seat. They let doubt chair the committee. It's time to stage a revolution in your mental parliament. It's time to vote the old thoughts out and elect new ones. But remember, revolutions don't happen by accident. They require intention, strategy, and consistent action. Seems the first. You need to become aware of the thoughts you're currently entertaining. Most people never do this. They let thoughts flow through their minds like water through a stream, never stopping to examine what's in that water. But if you want to change your thinking, you first need to know what you're thinking. Paying attention to your mental conversation. What do you say to yourself when you wake up in the morning? What thoughts run through your mind when you face a challenge? What's your internal dialogue when you look in the mirror? These aren't random thoughts. They're voting patterns that are shaping your destiny. Now here's where it gets interesting. Once you become aware of your thoughts, you'll probably be shocked by what you discover. You'll find thoughts you didn't even know you were thinking. You'll uncover voting patterns you didn't realize were influencing your decisions. You discover beliefs that have been sabotaging your success without your awareness. But awareness isn't enough. The next step is to check. Is this really true? Who said this was true? Where did I get this belief from? Does this thought serve my highest good? Is this the kind of person I want to vote into my future? Most of your limiting thoughts aren't even yours. They're hand-me-down from parents, teachers, friends, society. You inherited them like old clothes, and just like old clothes, you can choose to stop wearing them. You can choose to dress your mind in new thoughts that fit. You can't just remove a thought. Nature abhors a vacuum, and your mind is no different. When you remove a thought, you need to replace it with something else. When you stop voting for limitation, you need to start voting for possibility. When you stop rehearsing failure, you need to start rehearsing success. This is where visualization comes in. Your brain doesn't distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you consciously visualize success, your brain starts creating neural pathways to support that success. When you mentally rehearse confidence, your brain begins producing the chemicals associated with confidence. This isn't about fantasy. This isn't about closing your eyes and wishing for things to be different. This is about deliberately programming your mind with new thought patterns that align with your desired reality. This is about consciously choosing the thoughts that will shape your future. The mind is like a garden, but it's also like a computer. A garden metaphor teaches us about planting and nurturing thoughts. The computer metaphor teaches us about programming and running new mental software. Both aspects are crucial for transformation. There's a powerful truth mind accepts whatever thoughts you repeatedly expose it to. It doesn't judge whether these thoughts are good or bad, helpful or harmful. Simply accepts them as programming instructions. This means you have the power to reprogram your subconscious mind by consciously choosing the thoughts you focus. But this reprogramming requires repetition. One positive thought isn't going to override years of negative programming. One day of conscious thinking isn't going to transform your life. You need to persistently, consistently feed your mind new thoughts until they become your default programming. This is why affirmations alone don't work for most people. They say positive things to themselves for a few minutes in the morning, then spend the rest of the day thinking the same old thoughts. It's like eating a salad for breakfast and then consuming junk food for the rest of the day. One healthy meal doesn't create a healthy body. And one positive thought doesn't create a positive mind. You need to maintain awareness throughout the day. You need to catch yourself when you start slipping into old thought patterns. You need to consciously redirect your mental energy toward thoughts that empower you. This isn't a one-time event. It's a moment-by-moment choice. Every time you catch yourself thinking a limiting thought, see it as an opportunity. An opportunity to cast a new vote. An opportunity to plant a new seed. An opportunity to run a new program. Don't beat yourself up for having the old thought. Celebrate that you caught it. But awareness is the first step to change. Remember this. Your old thoughts will try to come back. They'll try to reclaim their seats in your mental parliament. They'll try to convince you that they're protecting you, that they're keeping you safe, that they're telling you the truth about who you are. So don't believe them. They're just old programming fighting to survive. Let me tell you what's really holding most people back. It's not their circumstances. It's not their background. It's not their education or their connections. It's the conversation they're having with themselves about all these things. It's the story they've written in their minds and keep reading to themselves every single day. You see, your mind doesn't just record your life. It creates your life. Every thought you think is like a brushstroke on the canvas of your future. Some of you have been painting with dark colors for so long, you've forgotten that other colors exist. You've been writing tragedy for so long. You've forgotten you can write triumph. Let me share something powerful with you. Your thoughts have a frequency. Just like a radio signal, they broadcast energy into the universe. And just like a radio, you attract whatever frequency you're tuned into. When you constantly think about lack, you're tuned into the frequency of scarcity. When you continuously focus on what could go wrong, you're broadcasting on the frequency of failure. This isn't some mystical concept. This is practical reality. Your thoughts create your focus. Your focus determines what you notice and what opportunities you see. And what you notice and see shapes the actions you take. It's a self-fulfilling cycle that either works for you or against you. But here's what's really interesting. Your thoughts don't just affect you. They affect everyone around you. Your mental frequency is like a wireless signal that others can pick up on. Have you ever noticed how you can feel the energy of a room before anyone says a word? That's because thoughts have power beyond words. When you walk into a room thinking you don't belong there, people pick up on that frequency. When you enter a conversation believing you have nothing valuable to contribute, that belief broadcasts itself without you saying a word. Your thoughts are creating your reality by influencing how others respond to you. This is why changing your thoughts isn't just about making yourself feel better. It's about transforming the entire field of possibilities around you. When you change your thought frequency, you change what you attract into your life. When you adjust your mental broadcast, you alter what comes back to you. This transformation won't be comfortable. Your old thoughts will fight for survival. They'll try to convince you that you're being unrealistic, that you're fooling yourself, that you should go back to being practical. Understanding this resistance is crucial. Because if you don't expect it, it can derail your entire transformation process. You see, your old thought patterns are like a security system that's been programmed to protect you. Even if that protection is limiting you, even if it's keeping you small, it's familiar. And your mind loves what's familiar. It will fight to maintain old patterns, even when those patterns are hurting you. This is why so many people start the journey of transformation, but few complete it. They encounter this resistance and interpret it as a sign that they're doing something wrong. But the resistance is actually a sign that you're doing something right. It's evidence that you're pushing beyond your comfort zone, that you're challenging the status quo of your mind. You got the signs. Every great achievement in human history started as a thought that seemed unrealistic at the time. Every breakthrough began as an idea that the majority dismissed as impossible. Your transformation will follow the same pattern. The thoughts that will create your breakthrough will initially feel uncomfortable. This is where real courage comes in. Not the courage to face external challenges. The courage to face your own mind. The courage to think thoughts that your current reality doesn't support. The courage to maintain a vision that your current circumstances don't reflect. The courage to hold on to a frequency that your current situation tries to drown out. Most people never develop this kind of mental courage. They let their thoughts be dictated by their circumstances. They let their mental frequency be determined by their current reality. And because of this, they stay stuck in the same patterns, the same situations, the same limitations. But you're not going to do that anymore. You're going to develop the courage to think beyond your circumstances. You're going to cultivate the strength to maintain thoughts that your current reality doesn't support. You're going to build the mental stamina to hold a frequency that attracts your desired future instead of repeating your past. Here's how you do it. Start with one thought. One single thought that represents where you want to go, not where you've been. Hold that thought. Nurture it. Protect it. When your current reality tries to drown it out, hold it even stronger. When your old patterns try to dismiss it, embrace it even more firmly. This one thought becomes your anchor, your North Star, your point of transformation. From this one thought, you build others. Around this one frequency, you create a new broadcast. Through this one seed, you grow a new garden of possibilities. But remember, this isn't about denying your current reality. This is about creating a new reality while fully acknowledging where you are now. This is about holding two frequencies at once, the frequency of your present. This dual awareness is crucial. If you deny your current reality, you're operating in fantasy. If you only focus on your current reality, you're stuck in limitation. The magic happens when you can hold both. When you can acknowledge where you are while simultaneously broadcasting where you're going. Think of it like tuning a radio. You don't deny that it's currently playing one station while you're turning the dial to find another. You're aware of both frequencies, the one that's playing and the one you're seeking. Your thoughts work the same way. You acknowledge your current frequency while deliberately tuning into a new one.